Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversation. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hey, how you doing today? Welcome to today's installment of Bathrobe Moments. I'm your host, Lauren Michaels Harris, although I'm sounding a little bit like Louise Jefferson. George! Yeah, so that's what's going on over here today. You know I took that shot, right? I got the mark of the beast. Let my granny tell it. I got the Johnson & Johnson one shot just 2 days ago. And great, not a problem so far. Knock on wood. I don't believe in that. Yeah, I feel great. And yesterday I thought I felt a little bit of a sore throat, but I was screaming and stuff watching some tennis over the weekend. I DVR'd the Australian Open from a couple weekends ago and finally got to watch it. So I was screaming at the TV. That's probably what happened. But anyway, I'm here. You're here. The promise is fulfilled yet again. Where two or more of us come together, something wonderful is going to happen. And today is no exception. In the news, you know, today is the official 1-year anniversary of when COVID-19 was declared a global pandemic. So a little catch up on the numbers. Interestingly enough, the village, we all know, who will remain nameless, in China, where everything began just a little over a year ago, actually is doing really well. They've only had, now they have over 1 billion people over there, right? Only less than 5,000 deaths from COVID-19. Whereas if you go over to Italy, They now are experiencing what is being called a third wave of the virus, and they have lost over 100,000 people to COVID. So it's just interesting. They're saying that I was listening to BBC World News this morning, and they were the ones, and I trust them. NPR and BBC, that's where I stay. So they said that the reason the numbers are so low in China is because nobody can get in there. Nobody can go there. So it's pretty much locked down. So anyway, here we are. We're a year later, but we're here. We're here. Thank God we're here. And we are going to uplift, embrace, elevate each other in every way. And let's stay safe and keep changing lives, shall we? That is the bell of purpose you heard ring. You know, it's been here for quite a few years. This is our 5th season, 11 and a half months every season. And the bell of purpose is your opportunity to be a part of something greater than yourselves. Now, you know, our theme this year is show me your soul. And I promise you, I'll show you mine. And that is the commitment we get from our guests. And you guys bring it home every single day. And I can't thank you enough. You know, I say it all the time. I'd rather be nowhere else in the world except Fiji with you guys. And we started last night. We looked at our frequent flyer miles, right, on American. And we realized we have like 75,000 miles. We could go around. We could go to Europe and this, that, and the other. So we started going, well, what if we plan like July, into June, July? My birthday is the 4th of July. So we were thinking of encapsulating that in there. And so now with that open, and we have a timeshare, but, you know, I don't know. I just, you know, if they're in phase 3, I'm in phase 1. I always operate 2 phases to the left, if you get my drift. Can I get an amen? Thank you. And so anyway, tell me what you think about that. How soon do you think, even with the vaccinations coming out, rolling out slowly but surely, how soon do you think it is safe enough to start traveling internationally? Places that are open to visitors. Let me know what your thoughts are. And you know I care. I listen to you guys, so thank you so much. And so that's all I wanted to hit on as far as what's in the news. Help me welcome now to the show, as we do at this point every day, my sidekick. This is my version of Ed McMahon. This is Lucy McGillicuddy Ricardo. She's here today. Hey, girl. The very last of the praline and cream bag of coffee. Put it all in there. Went over the line of my filter that I usually do, but I didn't have enough for the next day. So what do you do? So if my eyes start going like this is why. So anyway, okay. And I have my healthy shake here today. Doing well. Cutting those COVID pounds off. You know, I was suffering from COVID 38. Half of the 38 over here, the other half over here. I'm now down to COVID 11. 11 more pounds to go, and it's only been a month, so I'm pretty happy with that. How are things going in your health neck of the woods? Check in, put it in the comments. So today, you know, this is Celebrity Week, y'all, and it's not like Celebrity Week that we experienced back at the early part of fall last year when I had Andre Rush, the White House chef, and all these celebrities, Dr. Tranquility from The View, all kinds of people were here. But this round, we've decided to bring in stories that are so bright, they must reign and must live among the stars. So those are things to be celebrated, voices and messages to be celebrated. And that's what makes a celebrity in our eyes. Not how much money you have, not how many awards you've won, but how many lives you impact on a daily basis. So if we look at it like that, I think pretty much all of us here are celebrities. So today's celebrity is STEPH Palermo. She lives in Stoneham, Massachusetts, and she's has a lot. Her brand is Just Steph. You know, just Steph. That's all you need. Just a little step in your life. She fancies herself an intuitive coach, a healer, an influencer, and I'm going to ask her today. So you can. I know she can hear me backstage. So I'm going to ask Steph what her what she feels the title of an influencer really means or should mean, and if we're hitting the mark on that. She's a published author, and she has, get this, we're going to go, you know we're going here. She has the ability, she says, to read souls. Okay, you heard me right. And since this is Show Me Your Soul, the library is open. Get to reading, Steph. Get to reading, girl. I hope you got your reading glasses on. So anyway, and this is something else I didn't know. She wants to talk today because it's in her bio. She lives with a rare disorder. So we'll talk about that. And I want to know, because of where she's from, at what age did she stop using the term wicked? Oh, that's wicked awesome. I know, because I used to live in Jamaica Plain. Yeah, I know all about your whole Medford, I know all of that. Probably know a few people you know, Steph. So we'll get in on that. So, do you know what the literal definition of the term or the word soul is? It says in Webster's that soul means the spiritual or immaterial part of a human or animal regarded as immortal. And you hear about, all dogs go to heaven and all that, but I was like, so animals have souls too. We're going to get into that with our guest today and a lot more. So I don't want to hold it up, you guys. Now's the time to share it out. Get somebody over here, get your questions and comments ready. And let's get her in here. Now, you know what we do at this point. We pour our heart into the conversation. We put our hearts on the screen, literally, as we welcome in true bathrobe moment fashion. Here she comes, STEPH Palermo. Well, good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm awesome. How are you?
I'm fabulous. It's getting warmer in Boston. How is it in the Midwest?
It's warmer. No snow. It's all gone. It was like 7 feet of snow on the sides of our driveway a couple of weeks ago, and not any snow. It's beautiful. It's warm. It's in the high 60s, low 70s this week,
Beautiful.
actually. So, I don't know what's going on. I'm just glad it's going on.
Yeah.
So you are in Boston?
I'm just north of Boston, but I'm a Boston girl. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Don't hold it against me.
I loved it. That was outside of the bitter cold. I'll never forget. I was living in Jamaica, playing right by a place called the Green Line, Forest Hill Station. And the condos I lived in were, you could throw a rock and hit the Forest Hill Station sign. And I walked out there, had a wool jacket and I was going to my job and stuff. I think, and it was so cold. The wind literally blew. I was walking backwards.
Yes.
And the wind literally blew 2 buttons completely off my coat. Just snapped them right off, like, and needless to say, I never went anywhere that day. I turned around and went back home. It was I was numb. My face was hurting. Oh Lord, it gets brutally cold there. But the best pizza and the best Chinese food anywhere on the planet.
That's right, for sure.
For sure.
Cold weather, warm hearts.
Yes, and the people were just so nice. I just really had a great time there. Hats off to my host when I lived there, Maura James and Billy James, good friends of mine still today. So STEPH Palermo, we know you're in the Boston area. So why don't you fill in some of the gaps I may have left from the bio portion and just get people a little insight into who you are and a little bit of your backstory, if you would.
I'd love to. So, I was born just right in Medford, right, real close to Stoneham, and I was born with a rare disorder called Poland syndrome. And so you can see, I'm right side affected. And it's a rare disorder. There's 7,000 rare diseases and disorders out there. I've actually spoken to the Global Nursing Conference about living with the rare disorder. I was a keynote in Dubai a few years back. So basically, Poland syndrome is the name of my rare disorder. And I'm going to let your guests, your audience, Google it because it's just a lot of information, but I'm right side affected. So I had to deal with that growing up. But I'm also I was born into a really passionate, feisty, crazy Sicilian family. So with all of the food and the holidays and, all that passion flying around and learning how to navigate the crazy household along with the outside world with my Poland syndrome, I had sort of a tough go about it. And as you can imagine, I think kids are, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know if kids are more tolerant today. But back in the day, if you wore glasses, you got more
well, that's exactly what I wanted to ask first. That's exactly it. It's a perfect segue. But I want to ask you that, but I want to ask you something else first.
Talk to me.
Because it's interesting. I just want to know. Just one of my crazy, I'll never get out of my head if I don't ask you.
Okay.
So clearly you're left-handed.
Yes.
Now, do you, because they say it's a predisposition that we are going to be either left or right-handed. Do you ever get any kind of inclination that if you were evenly suited with your extremities, that you might have been a right-handed person? Because they think a certain way. They think a certain way. Do you ever sit and like at a desk or something and think like it's backwards because you should have been right-handed?
Well, I will tell you, when I was a baby, when they used to give lollipops back at the doctor's office.
Oh yeah.
And the doctor handed me a lollipop and I reached with my right hand.
Okay.
And I kick righty. If I was going to do kick, like when I played kickball with my kids, I kicked right.
Right.
So, but everything else I do lefty, everything. And I'm not really sure if I would have been ambidextrous, because a couple of my kids are ambidextrous, or they do some things, one way,
Yeah,
one hand.
I do that. I golf one direction, play tennis with one hand, bat softball, but I write with all my right. I do all those things on the left, but I write and stuff with my right.
So I'm not really, I think that I probably would have been right-handed because I went for the lollipop with my right hand, but I don't remember ever having a problem. So I kind of, my intuition is telling me I might have been lefty. I'm ambidextrous.
Okay, cool. So let's talk about when you started school as a kid. Because you're right, back in the day, now I'm 58. So that means, most of my peers were people's names that you will recognize, like Nellie Olson, Laura Ingalls Wilder, because I was back in, I could have been on Little House on the Prairie. That's how old I am. But I'm just saying, school was like that is when you compare it to today, the way it is. And I'm just curious from two sides. Granted, I know there had to be some teasing and bullying from the kids, but I'm more interested in where they placed you when you went to school. Was that treated at the time like, because, back then they had special ed classes. They didn't have special needs in my day. They had special ed. I don't know how it was for you, but, they would stick kids in different things when they didn't need to. Even what's that thing? Dyslexia was misunderstood. So tell us about that. How was it when you went to school? Did they put you in, like, just act like nothing happened, like you're no different? Or did they try to separate you?
No, I never was separated. I actually started kindergarten when I was 4. And because of the way the cutoff was.
The birthday cutoff.
When I was 4. And I did very well in school academically. I was, I did very well. And so I didn't get placed anywhere differently. It would be more in, PE or
art class.
Art. Couldn't play the violin, like in music, when they asked to play the instruments.
Right. And remember that when everybody got the recorder?
Yeah.
Everybody got that little plastic recorder. So what did they do for you in things like that? Because the whole class got those recorders.
Well, we did different instruments than that, but I couldn't do this. I just couldn't do it. And that's tough, I could hold the triangle one, with the little loop. That was okay. I could do that, but I just couldn't do it. And, thinking back, looking at it as an adult, I know I feel differently about it than I did back then, but it's painful. You want to be part of, you want to feel included. You don't want to be excluded. When we played Red Rover, send so-and-so over, I had to be on the end holding with my left hand because everybody was getting with this hand.
No, were kids afraid to touch it?
I grew up in a very close-knit Italian, Sicilian immigrant neighborhood. Everyone sort of it was just me.
Yeah.
So
they're used to it.
They were used to it. Now there would have been one kid. Yeah, you get kids that get a little wacko. What's that? But I've had that happen. I had that happen to me with an adult at the St. Regis in Atlanta.
Oh, I believe it.
Oh,
I believe it. Adults can be worse than kids.
He jumped out of his skin. Whoa, Mike, what? Oh, you need help. Nuts.
So I got a question.
Sure.
Tell me how you feel. This is always another really interesting aspect. How do you feel? What side of the aisle are you on when you hear the word disability?
Yeah. Well, I've spoken at a couple of like Rare Disease Day and things like that. I like the word difference because
Okay.
everybody is different. And it's funny when it took me many years to actually talk about my disorder. So now I start talking about it, and all of a sudden everyone goes, oh, well, I have one ear lower than the other, or I have 6 toes, or all of a sudden everybody has something.
Oh,
So
I'd have to see that. If somebody had 6 toes, I remember a girl, Jackie DeBow, in 4th grade, she had 6 fingers. Well, they weren't really fingers. They were just little nub things that came off the end, but they were the Ben's fingers. And we thought it was cool. We really did. So do you think, Steph, what changes have you seen happening parallel as you've evolved into the adult version as far as acceptance of people with quote unquote disabilities, access to things, because back then there weren't even bars and stuff. They weren't equipped for a lot of things back then. And now, how do you feel? I mean, do you have a handicap license plate, or are you like, I don't want to be treated any different?
You know what? I actually have applied for one.
You have a what?
And I've applied for a handicap license
Okay.
because I struggle with packages and holding stuff.
Mhm.
If I'm, when I'm shopping, so I struggle with that. If I was at the mall, and the other part of it is my whole left side of the body has been overused for 54 years. So my knee blows up. It just my ligaments are looser on this side. My whole left side developed differently because I had to be dependent on this side for everything. So think about everything you do, whether it's cooking, brushing your hair, brushing your teeth,
Yes.
everything.
Yep.
So, I'm worn out. I'm a little worn
Yeah, but you know
out.
what? And this takes us right into some of your extraordinary abilities. I know because I studied people from the time I was a little boy. The foster care system forced me to treat every person as a case study. So I was always looking for interesting things and facts about all the kids and all the people I lived with and all the caseworker. Anybody knew, that's how I dealt with it. And so I would like you to talk about, I know that most people, like if you're losing, or they say like when your hearing goes, your eyesight gets stronger, or if your eyes go up, then your hearing gets stronger. So you have some 5-star spidey senses, if you will. Let's start with the intuitive coaching and the aspect of your being a healer. Now, do you feel that some of those are like gifts of the spirit? Well, they all are gifts of the spirit. But do you think there was, like when a person has less than of one thing, that something else inside the temple, inside the vehicle is enhanced?
Okay, so for me, because this has always been me from the beginning, the hand, and
you don't know any different, right?
I didn't lose something to gain something,
right? Right, because it wasn't ever there,
right? So people that have an accident, and I actually think psychologically that's worse to have and to lose than to never have had.
I agree. So because you don't know what you're missing, right?
Yes. So yeah, and when I was, and we can talk about how I thought about wanting to have a full hand when I was young and how I feel about that now. But in terms of my gifts, I've always had a knowing, which is the intuitive. Always. I had to work through my own self-esteem and self-loathing and shame and lack of confidence to accept the others, like the healing. It's a little scary when you think, when you put your hands on somebody, whether or not they're going to be it's scary. You have to take a risk because you're the channel.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as the healing goes, for me, I have seen some people don't feel anything. Some people are like, "What? You're on fire." And but I have to go with what God and the universe wants. I'm just a channel.
Right.
And I'm just open to it. So
So-
as a young person, I think I sort of feel, I know that I chose this path before I came into time, space, reality.
Okay. I agree with that. I did
That's
that
how
too.
I feel about all
I think
of
we
it.
all do.
Yes. So I know this, and because I was blaming God for a lot of my choices, because I felt that I was set up to make bad choices. And then I was pacing in my room and I said, this isn't my fault. I didn't choose this. And I went, oh my gosh, I did choose it. I've chosen all of this. I've chosen everything. So
From a soul platform.
So yes. And it took me all of it, like my suffering, I chose it all.
Yeah.
So
we did.
So it took me a long time to be able to even say out loud what my gifts were. I was afraid of it. And, growing up Catholic, you don't talk about that stuff.
No. Anybody with a foundation of organized religion deeply seated, and most of us that I know, people that do what I do, and we cross paths quite often. I guess you would just say my colleagues or peers, say the same thing. A lot of us come from that, and it was a hard shell to crack, to believe in these things that you cannot see. Excuse me. So let me ask you, do you remember the very first, because this healing, let's talk about this healing, because I was healed. Dominic Rivera called me and pulled me over on the highway one day on the way to an MRI, the fifth one. This was the one with the dye, and told me, just turn your car off. The angels told me to get to you because they're about to go in and remove something. And you might feel a hot burning sensation somewhere on the left side of your body. And I hadn't told her anything. And long story short, I went on, and she goes, they have a mesh type thing and they're removing it. Her name's the Oracle. She's been here on the show. She'll be here on the 18th of March. You guys mark your calendar for Ask the Experts Day. And and I went to that appointment. They put the dye in and everything, did the MRI. And, they've never called me, and they've never said another word about it. And I'm VA, and they're very tenacious about stuff, follow-ups and this and never heard another word. My leg was going numb back then, my left leg, nothing since that day. So I know that's all I needed. It takes one time for me, because if I know it to be true, the truth is never going to change. So that was all I needed, So let me ask you, that first time, do you remember the first time you actually healed somebody, and how did that happen? Was it a mosquito bite and you touched it and it went away? What happened?
No, you know what? Like I said, I was afraid of it for a long time, but
how did you know you had it?
Well, because I was being told in prayer.
Okay. So what'd that sound like? Hey, by the way, you can heal people. What? Yeah, girl, you can heal people.
Well, I would be journaling what I don't hear. Like I have a knowing, so that's the intuitive. It's a knowing.
Yes.
So I would be writing, "You're a healer. You're a healer. You're a healer." And
so, like an affirmation.
Yes.
But not coming from you, coming to you.
Yes. And so I would. I have all my journals from years ago, and I just kind of shelved it, because I didn't believe it. And I just thought, well, maybe it's just a healer of hearts, where I encourage and I read the soul, the souls, and help guide them and all of that. And I was doing a 2-day breast cancer walk in Atlanta and I had my roommate, my girlfriend. She said something was hurting her. I don't know if it was her head. I don't know. And I said, can I just put my hands on you and pray over you? And she said, yes. And
hold up. So was she thinking, she didn't go like, oh, are you a holy roller? Or are you one of the, she didn't think it was that kind of like, now bring out some snakes and all that kind of stuff. She never thought that.
She was fine.
So she instantly trusted you.
Yes. And so I put my hands on her and I pray. I can pray in tongues. And so so I prayed over her and I put my hands on her, and she looked at me and she said, it's gone. I go, okay, don't tell anybody. I told her, I made her swear. I go, swear you won't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody.
Why?
I didn't want anyone to know. I
Why?
I don't know. I was afraid
That's
of
a
it.
good question. I need you to answer that because, you know, there are those of us who have these gifts all day, every day. We've always had them. But then we have them because that's what do you do with a gift? If you buy something for yourself, it's not a gift, it's a treat. But if you give it away, you gift it to someone. So what was it about this that made you want to withhold it? This is important.
I thought that I really believed that I wasn't supposed to say anything about it. I was supposed to keep it to myself because that's what you do as a holy person. You don't boast. That's kind of how I felt.
Okay, and when did that start changing for you?
You know, I've been working with a business coach who is very intuitive herself, and she's like, you got to own these gifts. You got to own these. You got to talk about this. You got to talk about this. And I was always trying to use other language to mask it because I didn't want to boast. I didn't want to, I was afraid. I was afraid of it. I was afraid that, that no one would believe me.
But our works is what we're told. And Sherry McQueen makes a great point right there. She said, fear. Do you think it was fear? Because we are told that, you know, we're going to be judged on our works, not our words. You know what I'm saying? So your feet, your actions. So, okay. So that, and I get it. When something's coming like that, we all have our own experience, our own germane, unique experience with acceptance. So when did that begin to change when you knew that I have this because it is to help and be of service to others, and you got out of that fear zone or whatever it was that wanted you to keep it hidden?
As far as the soul reading and the healing, being able to, I started maybe about a year or so ago to actually use that verbiage. And the reason why is because I speak about authenticity all the time with my clients, with my audiences, being your authentic self. And I wasn't being authentic.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't being who I am. So I said, okay, well, you know what? If I want my business to grow, if I want to expand, and people know when you're inauthentic,
Right there. Let's stop right there. Because that's another great point. You're bringing up some gold today, girl. Let me tell you something. Should have wore your miner's hat because you're digging it out. Listen, and I'm stopping you only because, excuse the interruption, this is a thing that a lot of people just skirt around it. So when you say you weren't being authentic, I went through that. And the way I was shown by source that I was being that way, I kept having a reoccurring dream where I was in the grocery store line. And every time I was paying for my, you know, at the checkout. And every time I looked back towards the end of the conveyor, there'd be another person from a secret part of my life. There'd be a person in line from where I was doing drugs the night before. There'd be a person in line from the church I sang at last Sunday. There'd be a person in line that was a family member that didn't know I was gay. There'd be there were every version of myself. There was a person in that line that knew that version, and none of them were the same. And my biggest fear was that they would turn around and somebody was going to say, Lauren. And then they'd all say, how do you know him? And then they'd start talking and comparing notes, and I'd be exposed. That's what I couldn't do it. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I just couldn't stand it. It felt like sand in the eye, a pebble in the shoe, a blister on the heel, whatever is uncomfortable. And you just cannot, you know, you have to acknowledge it because it will not go away. How was that experience for you to get you past that, through that? That's an important part. A lot of people get stuck there and leave it alone.
I will say that the hardest part of all of it for me was the people closest to me, that even though I just never said anything, I never really, I kept quiet. And I was worried what they would be like, really, you? I was worried about that. And, you know.
Why? Were you afraid of being called a woo-woo? Did you think people were going to think
I was afraid to be called a liar or
she's a witch. She's a witch.
Yeah.
Did you hear that? STEPH PALERMO's a witch.
Well, I always think if I lived back in the day, I would have been burnt at the stake, you know. See? And I'm not even a witch. It's not even like that.
But it's because of the misperceptions,
right,
of the gifts.
Absolutely.
Okay,
so I was worried. I wasn't worried about the people.
Hold on, honey. I already made that. Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
Oh.
I wasn't worried about the people out there in like Facebook land or that I didn't know, because they don't know me. It was Jesus got thrown out of Nazareth. They said, "Who is this?"
Wait, Nazareth, was that little club in Bethlehem around the corner from where the sheep herder lived?
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna get there one of these days. I heard they Sunday nights are off the hook there.
Right.
Anyway,
but I'm just saying that
I know. I'm kidding. Come on now.
If you look at the scripture, the prophets got exiled, thrown out, they got killed. That's kind of been, so I was worried about my own little my family, my friends, worried about them. And as I became more comfortable with it, nobody seemed to care. And my mother would tell stories. Then my mother and my sister were telling stories about me when I was young that made them think that I had these
extra gifts.
Yes. When I was really young, maybe 4 or 5 years old, my mother took us to the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston, which has one of the largest Egyptian collections. I'm very attracted to the ancient Egypt, mummies. She found me. She said, "You weren't lost. I was just gazing around." Like I must have been, because I also have connection with the spirit world. And I just, I must have been just woo, all of this. And my sister will talk about stories, with me, being very interested in the spirit, the other side.
So you have connections to the spirit world.
Yes.
Okay. So then tell me, who is that lady over to the left behind you? I'm kidding.
I'm like, what?
No, get them every time.
I would have said it would be my grandmother. I would have said it would be my grandmother.
Now what? And I see if something did. Oof. So tell me, how is that? Let's talk about that. When people, you hear people say it all the time. And I believe more of us have those connections to the spirit world than we know. We just don't know. Because when you live in a world of accident or mindset of coincidence, when you say things like whatever, out of nowhere, it sure is weird. Ain't it strange? Those are all words that deceive. They take your vision, they take you away from the realness, the authentic experience, and turn you over to coincidence, happenstance, so you miss it. And so, dude, when your thing with the spirit world, how did that begin? And when you say you have a connection, how do they communicate with you and you with them? What's your road? Well,
I'm gonna answer that. I want to say though, for your audience, that just to reiterate what you said, if we could remove the curtain, the veil, that we would see, if we could see what's behind the curtain, that veil, there'd be all kinds of stuff going on.
That's right.
So, I think as I became more open to my own gifts, I became more open to, I could always so if I was looking at a house to buy, I'm going, I'm not going in that room. It's not happening. There's something happening there. I'm not going in there. So I had that discernment, or I go, okay, this house has there's something going on here.
Something going on.
Yes. So, I have lots of stories about that kind of stuff, lots of them. And so usually my father is hanging around me and my grandmother, and, so I know that they're usually around, but not as aware when I have to tune in, and then I go,
okay.
I'm like, what are you doing here, Daddy? So
are your connections with the spirit world primarily people that are close or have passed through your world, or you strangers?
No, if I go into a place that has spirits there, I will. They'll talk to me. They'll, but I don't hear, like, it's not a locution; it's a knowing.
Right.
And
right.
Then,
I get it.
And then what I would do is I would ask. I might talk to somebody in the area, and they'll say, I'll say, "Oh, is this?" I'll ask questions. They'll say, "Oh, yes, that's the report. That's what people say."
I'm sorry. How do you deal with it when you can sense that someone thinks you're a fake? Because it happens. And when it happens, I would think.
I had somebody from high school was like, all of a sudden you're a soul reader. And I was like, well, I just blocked her. Because I can't have that negative, because I'm an empath. So I absorb it. So
I am too.
So I just kind of, I put on the Teflon skin and I just have to let it go. And I really haven't had anybody, except for that situation, really say anything to me. I just continue to do my job and to love people. And the whole foundation of everything I do is based on the love of self and the love of the people around us, love of our world.
So let me ask you something, Steph, and then we're going to go to commercial break, and we'll come back and hit these other points. I want to get into your book and your free group and all the other things you have going. But before we go to break, so this person, like when you said when you blocked, I used to feel that way, or the need to respond like that. But then Source spoke to me and said, Lauren, that is an exact, they are there to prove to you the need for your message. Who would need you more? Though, just because a person is all ears and sitting in the front row seat at one of your events doesn't mean it's ever going to work or connect and they're going to do anything with it. But you see what I'm saying? So how do you feel about that when you get, hashtag haters, is it, I mean, okay, we get it. You don't want the negativity or the toxicity to seep in, but what about the aspect of a person being there because they need what you have really, really badly?
This is true. And you know what? I guess I didn't really think about that. I was more thinking about my business. And
I know what you're talking about. People bringing and dragging shit across your right.
I've had people say to me, "Get a real job."
Girl,
my ex-husband said it to me, "Get a job," and so
yeah.
He was.
I had one when I was married to your ass.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. Listen, we're gonna go to commercial break. Steph, hold that thought. When we come back, get ready. If you got something you want to read from the book, a little excerpt, we'd love to hear it when we come back. And when we come straight out of commercial, I'm going to put a little clip on there before we come back live so you can see Steph Palermo in action. You guys will be back in just about 1 minute. Don't you dare go away.
Hey, this is Just Steph, your intuitive coach, empath, healer, soul reader, and I am here with your life lessons from Just Steph. So I am going to just share this video to my personal page so that we don't want anybody to miss out on any great information from the universe. So let's see. Okay, and I'm going to just play this, and there we go.
Empath, we don't want
There we go. Okay, so of course I'm a little late today. Sorry about that, but it's been a crazy day and but an amazing one. I love every day, and but that wasn't always the case for me, which is why I'm here helping you to move from point A to point B without having to go all this way around and and get there a lot quicker than I did. So
okay, so point A to point B. There you were, Steph Palermo. Thank you guys for sticking around. Welcome back to today's installment of Bathrobe Moments. And I'm your host, Lauren Michaels Harris. We're here today with Intuitive coach, healer, influencer, published author, and soul reader, STEPH Palermo. So let's get, well, what's the title of your book? What's your book about?
Well, I've written 3 books.
Okay.
The one that I'm giving away to your audience is The Only Way Is Up. And it's just STEPH's perspective on life. It's small, little stories. I'm a short storyteller. And these are short stories about how I got comfortable in my own skin. And there's fun, it's motivational, inspirational, funny, you laugh, you cry. But my latest book is, it's not personal, Sonny, it's business, how to run your family life and business like a Sicilian. And yes, I love this book. I'm very proud of it. I've spent extended time in Sicily, and as I was there, found out that everything that I talk about to my clients and audiences, I was living on hyperdrive in Sicily. The way that they enjoy each other's company, they spend time together, nobody's on their phone, everybody's talking, the way that they love their family and their friends, and the dinner table, the generosity, their purpose-driven work. They love their work so much, and it's their gift that they share to the world. Whether you're a restaurateur, a baker, whether you are an artist, it's just an amazing way to be. So I took the 10 pillars of what I call them, the 10 pillars of Sicilian life. And I talked about them, little stories, and then how to apply it in your family life and business. I also, at the beginning, talked about how my family immigrated from Sicily to America. Okay. And I have some great stories about, my grandmother and, and all of that. And at the end, there's a few Sicilian recipes that I love.
Nice. Awesome. So the book that you've dropped into the comment section is a link where you can go and get STEPH Palermo's book that she's gifting everyone today. So let's put some hearts on the screen to say thank you for the gift. Thank you so much. And I'm going to make sure people know to do that. And there we go. So STEPH, soul healing. Soul reading. Yes. I don't think I've ever ran into anyone who says, oh, I read souls. Tell us about that, and how does that work?
I had to figure it out for myself too, because I was like, how do I know this stuff? And I said, I'm not a regular psychic. Like, psychics will say, oh, you're going to be tall, dark, and handsome in 3 months, and you might lose your job, but don't worry.
And you guys, I'm already taken. Just letting you know. I'm kidding. Not tall, not too dark, and certainly not handsome. So anyway, how did I think you were talking about me? Anyway, go ahead. So you're, girl, please.
So So I said, that's not what I do. What I do is I sit with somebody, and I start to know things like, you feel underappreciated, and they're looking at me like, how do you know that? And you have this going on in your life, and I let them tell me things, because then I just need a little, and then I go, okay, this is what's happening, and this is how the people around you are feeling. This person is influencing your life, and they don't need to be. And if you want to be happy, this is the way you have to get on this path, because this is where your soul is going to be the happiest. This is where, if you're on your soul's path, the right path for you, it is the happiest and the easiest life you can live.
You know what I love about that you are a soul reader, and that person even exists, is because the battle has always been over the soul. As far as you can go back in history, it's what it is. It's what it's about. And so the soul is the reason for everything. And there's so many people who don't even, talk about that, Steph. I mean, you can read somebody's soul and they may not even, who are you talking about?
They don't know.
They don't know. That's what I'm getting at. Speak to that if you could. I think that's really
well, I want to say that the soul is the driver, the body is the car.
Right.
But we do it backwards. Most people do it backwards. They let the body drive, and the soul
And
is
stick the soul in the back seat.
the soul's in the back seat going, hey. So
right. So when the soul tells you to do something, you don't listen to your first mind. You second guess, which is a guess because it was second.
right.
Right. And then when it goes
Absolutely.
wrong, you say, something told me. Well, something was in the back seat.
Yeah.
And you said, shut up. Well, I'm driving. Backseat driver. Can't nobody stand a backseat driver until your ass is upside down in a ditch.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
Exactly.
So have you ever said something to somebody, and then tie it to what you're going to say? Have you ever said something to somebody about their soul and they just give you that look like, how in the world does she know that?
Yeah, I worked with somebody yesterday that I felt that she was looking at me like I had 10 heads, and I'm going, this is what's going on with you. And, and so I think, I'm not really sure she bought it, but the problem is, well, here's the thing. I don't really care, because I'm going to tell somebody what they need to hear, and I'm delicate, but where I say, I think this is what's going on. I think you're feeling sad about this. I think you're feeling that, and they look at me, they go, maybe, but it's so buried that they don't even know. I know things about them that they don't even know about themselves. And believe me, I've had situations where, and this happened to me not too long ago. I was actually on a date, and I looked at him and I said, and I just rattled off everything that he was thinking in his head. And he looked at me like, okay. It's kind of hard to keep a boyfriend that knows they can't get away with stuff.
But Steph, be honest. He kind of gave you a heads up when you had to say, hello, my eyes are up here. I mean, that kind of told you what he was thinking, right? Come on, even I could have done that one. I'm kidding. So let's talk about I can't believe how fast it's going. We got about 7 minutes left. But Steph, the soul, how do you have any recommendations? Maybe you do this in your coaching, and I'd like you to speak to your coaching about how a person falls in love with their soul. How do you get into a relationship where you can court and date your soul?
Well, the first thing is to be quiet. Just shut up.
Who are you talking to?
Not you.
Oh, I'm just playing.
Everybody going, shut up. No, you have to be quiet and listen. Look at me. I'm Chatty Cathy. So, you have to be quiet. You have to have that time where you can just be quiet in your mind and in your body. Just be quiet and tune in to how you feel. And you will have physical manifestations that happen in your body that will tell you something is good or something is not. And if you stop for a minute to listen to that, you can start to make decisions that benefit your higher self, your soul. And so you have to tune in. If you get little butterflies, if you're shaking, if if you're start to sweat or what things like that, or your stomach gets upset, these are signs that something's not right or something is right. Depends. You have to pay attention to it and make sure that you address, why am I feeling this way? And then you address that. Is this a deep-rooted belief that doesn't serve me any longer? Do we need to release this? It's all of that. And then you start to make decisions and living a soul-based life.
A soul-based life. Now, I just had a download while you're speaking. And I was told that you know a little secret that you need to share here before we get out of here about how powerful breathing is. Something about breathing and how it is like a pathway somewhere that gets us to where we need to go to tap into some of these other things that if you're all over the place, it just won't work. Everything is about breathing, and you know a little something in there. Do you know what I'm talking about or no?
It really is about the breath, because when I think about breathing, it is the breath of God. And we can breathe it in and take in the good and we have the ability to release what doesn't serve us in the breath.
That's right.
So we take in the good, but here's the thing: we need to release to receive.
Right.
Because when we're little babies, we don't need to do any of that because we're fine. We're all aligned. We're fine. We do good things. We have fun. We don't worry.
That's right.
Where we can receive, but because we're so hurt and damaged and almost backwards, we have to release to open up space, and you can do that in the breath. If I'm reading cards, I breathe on the cards.
And healers, when they're doing their thing, it's like in the Green Mile, when the guy would heal people, he had to open his mouth and let those bees out because that he had to release. And I just recently, in the last few months on a retreat, learned that I've been holding space for things all my life and didn't even know it, that I took from people and from situations, and it was physically manifesting. And so I get that. So what I would like you to wrap up with here, if you could, is to talk about the kind of work you do with people, and I'm going to show them where they can come in, they can continue the dialogue with you. So if someone is looking for a coach like you, who is that person? Who is your ideal client?
These are people who feel that there's something more for them in their life. They already are starting to take care of themselves. This would be leveling up your self-care.
Okay.
This is somebody who is in transition, maybe divorced or in a relationship transition, job, career, or just in life. Just, okay, I don't know what I want. This is somebody who wants more from life. They're tired of the treadmill. They want something more. It's time to smell the roses. They want to enjoy.
We love those roses.
Yes. So,
well, the thing is, I love the kind of coach you are, because there's a coach for the manicure coach, the clip your toenail coach, the nose hair coach. There's all kind of coaches, but you're walking it and talking it. Even in your brand, Get Real, it's all about authenticity, transparency, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you who? Whatever you believe to be greater than yourself. And that is key. It is essential, or you're going to get nowhere.
Right.
On the screen is Get Real with Steph, and that leads people to your free group that you have. Talk about that. And this other one is to get to all things Steph Palermo at juststeph.com. So tell us about the group so people can get over there.
It's a community where I do a lot of my Facebook Lives. I have the Just Steph Rules of Dating, and I do Love Card Friday. I read some love cards on Friday. You want to know what's going on in your love life? You want to know what's going on in your love life for the weekend? Tune in on Fridays and Get Real with Steph. It's a community where I want people helping each other. We're helping each other grow and get on the path to the best version of themselves.
There you go.
Where I talk about my offers for. I have a paid community, a membership community where I offer workshops, book discussions, and channeled messages from the universe, one-on-ones. I also offer one-on-one coaching. And as soon as we get ready to go, I will be offering retreats in Sicily. I'm going to teach people that life.
Awesome. So listen, you guys, our time has come to a close yet again. And don't you love it when the promise is fulfilled, because two or more of us came together, and it wasn't that something coulda, shoulda, might have happened. It did, and it always will. Remember, the truth is the only thing in the universe that never changes, but more importantly, it is the only thing that will never change on you. So keep it close, okay? Steph Palermo, keep doing what you're doing. I love that you are the blessing that you love to see in the world, and you are the gift that you'd love to receive from the world. That's all we have to do. Listen, you guys, if you want your dreams to come true, your purpose to be fulfilled, 3 things. Are you ready? Write it down. Find out what people want. Go out and get it, and then bring it back and simply give it to them. Just like our guest today, Steph Palermo. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Steph. It's been a real pleasure. You guys get the free book, buy the book, get into the group, get into the paid group. Just get in. Don't sit on the sidelines a moment longer. You guys be back tomorrow with you. Teresa Goss has a wonderful show called Expert Talk over on Amazon Prime. She's our celebrity story tomorrow right here on Bathrobe Moments. Get out and make a difference in the world. Every person in every situation that you encounter, remember, all you have to do is have the mindset that I can and I will leave this person or this situation just a tad bit better than the way I encountered it. Do that and watch what comes your way. I'll see you guys tomorrow out on the front porch for our next installment of Bathrobe Moments. Be blessed and be the blessing. Bye, Steph. Thank you. Mwah. Have a great day, all. Bye-bye.